We've got one of our longtime listeners, attorneys at law, dialing into the show to talk about Rashee Rice and the situation. So we're going to get his breakdown. We're going to talk about the latest information we have, what to expect. Is league discipline even going to be on the table at some point? So file on in, hit that like button. We're going to be talking to Brandon, a.k.a. Baked In Boys, about Rashee Rice and what to expect. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So, if anybody's been living under a rock over the last, handful of days, then you may have missed that Rashee Rice is in some trouble, or is he? It sounds like you can partake in a hit and run and bail from the scene and have not too many ramifications involved. On the line right now is our boy, Baked In Boys, a.k.a. Baked In Boys, Brandon, attorney. And you're not practicing at this moment right now, but this is an attorney at law. You've been going on your fitness journey. Is that correct, Brandon?
Thank you. Well, I've always been on a fitness journey, but thank you for the warm welcome.
He's getting.
I work in the logistics industry now, but I worked as a criminal attorney for about 10 years in Louisiana and Kentucky.
So appreciate you coming on. Long time listener too, and watcher of the show. So we love Brandon. We love them Baked In Boys. Let's hit the Baked In Boys for him. Baked In Boy. Okay, so Brandon, tell me what your take is initially on this. I know Texas law is probably different than where you've practiced, and a lot of that has to come into play, and we'll obviously preface some of that. But in terms of like what he's really facing legally, this entire notion that you could do a hit and run, walk away from the scene, go home. I'm not saying he had any substances in his body, but if he did, let those substances exit the body. If you had anything that the police, may have not liked you having when they showed up and searched you, you could get rid of all that. Like, what's he looking at? Like, is there any sort of, I want to say like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Good question. I would assume there's a warrant for his arrest, and he would just voluntarily, so it looks like he's retained an attorney. I bet you he's going to turn himself in. But you're right, he could have been drunk. That this was days ago.
That's out of the window.
There's no proof. There's going to be no proof of that. I mean, he's definitely going to be facing a reckless driving charge. And I thought that someone was injured. It's sounding like no one was injured.
Yeah, there's reportedly 4 people are maybe injured. One went to the hospital, and then now they're reporting that nobody was severely injured. That maybe it was just a checkup on them or something. Okay. Yeah, and maybe they. Okay. Yeah. So you're right. It does not appear to be.
That makes a really big difference.
It does make a big difference.
If there's no injuries, and you brought up a good point. Will the NFL take some kind of an action? They've been so inconsistent, it's incredible. So I think what Alvin Kamara did was a lot worse, and he got 6 games. Rice may get no games, or 1. But then again,
it's crazy.
Maybe Roger Goodell says every offseason somebody gets in this type of legal trouble, or maybe I have to crack down, and then he gives them more than Kamara, and no one's hurt. So that's really hard to predict. If I had to put money on it, I would bet that he'd get less than Kamara just by virtue of luck.
The thing I don't understand though is how you can walk away from the scene and not be in serious trouble for fleeing. Like, his excuse is going to be something along the lines of, it was on the freeway, my client wanted to get out of the way of harm's way, He was, in the middle of the freeway. There was no use of standing there, even though there were injured people in vehicles. And he didn't even know how injured or if anybody was injured. They bolted right away. There's footage of these guys jumping out of the car, like when the car is almost still rolling, and they all jump out, grab stuff, and they look like they're just trying to get as quickly away from that situation as possible.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you or I would be in a box right now if we were to.
Well, like I said, there had to be a warrant. Plus, there were videos you posted, and also Adam Schefter, people like that. So if we can see that, there's no way local police didn't see that, within probably minutes or at least hours right after that happened.
Yeah, here's the
there's no way the police didn't know. So that's what I'm saying. There had to have been the police would arrest you.
Yeah.
They'd go to the address that the car was registered to, and they'd arrest you.
Here's
I don't understand how that didn't happen.
I know.
That's why I think maybe he'll voluntarily turn himself in, probably not even do 24 hours in jail.
Right.
And, post bail.
Here's a report right here, reportedly from TMZ via this I don't even know if I think this is potentially legit. I can't even guarantee half of the stuff going around today on April 1st. It's like it's a little dangerous to report on anything, to be honest. But here's a report. Here's I guess a footage of him, and I can't 100% confirm on this because it's April 1st, but him wearing the same shirt earlier. This was apparently Rashee Rice in the red cloth thing on his head, and then you see him wearing that same shirt earlier in the day. Again, I can't 100% confirm that, but that was reportedly from, I believe, TMZ. I'll try and look it up from TMZ and just make sure, but it is crazy, man. This situation is nuts. I guess the part
What's the significance of the clothes?
The what?
Of the shirt. What's the significance of the clothes he was wearing?
Oh, no, I was just saying that there people were trying to say he wasn't driving, he wasn't in the vehicle, maybe it was just registered to him. But there's the footage of him walking away in this image that I have here with the red clothing on top of his head. You can see that earlier in the day he was wearing that same shirt, and that was Rashee Rice.
Well,
so that was just
if he lent his car to somebody, which he didn't, I'm sure based on the videos we saw, he was him. But even if he lent it to somebody, then somebody takes that car and does 120 with it and crashes, he's still responsible.
To a degree, but not obviously for the crime,
right.
but
right. But there again, yeah, exactly. I think he's probably going to have to pay for the damages that whoever did to the cars.
Yeah, of course.
And then if, like I said, if there's no way if these people had serious injuries, they wouldn't be suing him civilly. That'd be real similar to Camara, but there again, it sounds like there's not injuries, or they're very minor if there are. So
this is what
think about what Henry Ruggs went through.
Right, it's crazy because the definition of this thing going from bad to being a nothing burger is injuries. It's all about injuries. Yeah. Nobody's hurt. He's gonna completely walk. He ran from the scene. He's gonna walk. He ran from the scene with God knows what in his system or on his person, because there was a witness. This is not something that, we're just going off hearsay, of course, but there's video footage of a guy, and I have it on my Instagram, that's recording the guys walking away after they crashed the vehicles, Lamborghini and Corvette. Corvette reportedly registered to Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice was driving reportedly the Corvette. They crashed, caused a 6-car pileup. Immediately, all of them get out of the car together. Don't check on anybody, how they're doing, see if anybody's injured. They all just bail like cowards, start walking off the freeway. And a guy records them with his girlfriend next to him, and he says, "You're just going to leave it right there?" Or first he goes, "Are you guys okay?" And they're like, yeah. And he's recording him. He's like, "You guys just going to leave him right there, huh?" And he's recording these guys walk off like cowards, just walk off the freeway. And it's crazy to me that
Right. So,
They
Roger
escaped
Goodell
from
could
that.
still do something. He could still say that behavior is not acceptable to the NFL, regardless if you
100%.
go to jail or not. You probably won't.
100%.
Goodell could do something.
The NFL
he's been so inconsistent. There's a decent chance he does nothing.
There
Rashee
is.
Rice just plays. He just plays all of the games.
Yeah, to
Next year.
to Brandon's point, it's a heavy hand. We even had Tony the attorney on, Tony the Tiger, come on too, and he said the NFL is a heavy hand one moment and a light hand the next, and you can't predict it. And Brandon's saying the same thing, and I've said the same thing over and over. Would not shock me if Roger Goodell did something weird. But as I've said on this show, and I'll continue to say, that if you bet on the NFL doing nothing, you will win 80% of the time. And in this case, with no injuries, my guess is that in 6 months, half the people even watching right now will forget what really actually happened. They go, wait, well, what happened again? Because if I ask somebody, hey, what happened to Jordan Addison last offseason? They will forget. They'll be like, oh, did he speed? What did he do? Nobody cares. If nobody got hurt, everyone's just going to ignore it. Not to mention, I'm the only one going live on this stuff. This is my third live stream in a less than 40-hour period. No one's talking about it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Well, I care. I care that these cowards walked off the freeway when they caused a 6-car pileup and didn't have any concern for the people that might have been injured. And they're lucky. Lucky no one got hurt, because that's the reason why he's going to skate.
Right. That's probably the reason why the police didn't kick in his door that night. If someone would have been dead, or if someone would have been, seriously injured in the hospital, the police would have treated it like as such. If no one's hurt and they've got they've got, some smashed up cars, but, really no injuries, they may be treating it like it's no big deal.
What I think's going to happen.
You and I think it's a big deal because it's just flat out immoral.
Yeah.
To put somebody's life at risk and then just flee.
As I've said though, Alvin Kamara 100% was affected by all the off-season problems that his situation caused. This will most certainly, I think, go away, in a way that we all are uncomfortable with it, going away, as if nothing happened. But there could be some civil stuff, and there could be a lot of stuff that he's having to think about and endure. And look, this is a guy that had some questions walking into the NFL. There were some question marks about him off the field walking into the NFL. It would not surprise me if he couldn't keep his head on straight. It wouldn't surprise me if this got, messed with his play in 2024, and it wouldn't surprise me if he derailed. And I'm not saying that's 100%. Everybody's saying buy on the dip. I might be the one guy saying don't buy on the dip. I may have said that initially, it's not gonna go, it's gonna go away. My initial reaction of saying it's gonna go away, I think is going to be accurate, but I don't know if it's going to go away up here. I don't know if he's going to have the ability to weather through the emotions of this too, because Hollywood Brown's now in town, and I think he's the quiet sleeper here. And I honestly don't think I would draft Rashee Rice.
Hollywood Brown is absolutely. I can't believe people aren't making more out of that. But when you think about it, Travis Kelce's at best going to give you what he gave you last year, in my opinion. And then just Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been so bad. Or and who's the other guy that's essentially the same thing? Kadarius Toney has been he's a complete zero. To where there's no way Rashee Rice does nothing.
You know what the Chiefs end up doing?
You know what I mean?
The Chiefs end up drafting another rookie is what they end up doing in what is arguably one of the best.
Guy Moore did nothing.
This is one of the best rookie.
These are guys you should. I don't care how deep your league is. You didn't have them on your team.
This is one of the deepest rookie wide receiver pools we've seen in a long time. That the Chiefs are going to go after a couple of them. But I do think Hollywood Brown is the big-time sleeper here. Patrick Mahomes, as much as people want to give him grief, this guy's an angel. He's surrounded by madness from his wife to his brother. But his brother's even more of a reason why that it's like you see this guy assault a woman on camera. They got footage of it.
Yeah.
And during the Super Bowl, he's already forgiven, standing in the box, sitting there with Taylor Swift. Like standing right next to Taylor Swift. And everybody's forgotten that. You think people are going to forget this? But forgetting it and him performing are two different things. And I'm really questioning whether he's worth buying on the dip. I'm not saying don't buy him in the 4th or 5th round, but I'm not saying if anybody says I'd still take him in the 2nd. I'm like,
you're
no.
Probably right that there's probably like around an 80% chance that the NFL does nothing. And, you know, if he wants to redeem himself in the eyes of the public, he could go and all he's got to do is catch a few passes, and he'll be better than Kadarius Toney.
Well, of course, but I don't know. Yeah.
You know, just don't drop a touchdown pass when you're absolutely wide open, just once.
Rob,
you know what I mean?
Hey, Rob,
Hollywood Brown could be the superstar, but Rashee Rice will probably be viewed favorably because the Chiefs are just going to be good.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, you're live.
You know?
Rob from Hawaii, you're on the phone live. What's up?
What's up, Smitty? So I listened to a rough back of the live you did earlier, and all I could do was laugh, man, because your initial thoughts were my initial, like, bro, what kind of statement is that? Like, you basically said a whole bunch of nothing. You could have just kept the comments to yourself, bro. That's not giving no update on the situation or, you know, your actions, what you did, the statement the attorney dropped.
We can barely hear you, Rob. We can barely hear you. I think you're saying that the statement that the attorney dropped was basically no update whatsoever, and you're correct.
Yeah, it was pretty much a bunch of nothing. So I was
Right. Well, I'm sure the attorney's not going to let him just say anything. The attorney will take a very calculated, very well thought out approach and release something on his time. And he'll tell Rashee Rice, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. What'd you say, Rob? What'd you say, Rob?
If that was going to be the statement, he might as well have said nothing at all, because that's basically what, you know, everybody got from it. At the end of the day, whether you believe he should be punished for what he did or not, and you put other people's lives at risk, you put kids at risk. I got kids, and that's my priority. It don't matter how much you love football. At the end of the day, you want your family to come home to you, and it will take your family being in a situation like that, or people being irresponsible, get into a car accident and really kill somebody or hurt somebody. Cars are not to be played with. And if you want to race, go to a track.
Yeah.
You got enough money to go to a track.
Well, he's definitely going to get hit with the reckless driving for sure, but that's the problem. It's kind of like Kamara. Kamara got hit with the what was the charge again? It was like mute yourself if you could, James. You're a little loud there. In the warehouse, James from the warehouse. I can hear the warehouse like crazy in the background. I love it, James. We'll get to you in a second. I don't know. This is insane. All right, let's go to James. Let's go to James real quick. James from the warehouse. James, go ahead and unmute. Let's hear that noise, pal. Hit us with it.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right. I just wanted to call in really quick because I watched the other video, like the original post you had, and there were a lot of people saying, hey, leaving the scene, you're going to get automatic jail time. And I'm not proud to say this, but this is actually something that I've experienced firsthand. I got in an accident, I hit a pedestrian, I was drunk one weekend in Vegas. And that does not always mean jail time. I don't get where everybody's getting the whole, everybody's going to go to jail, it's guaranteed jail time. Just because you leave the scene of an accident, it does not always mean jail time. Like, I luckily caught a plea deal, and it just ended up being probation. So, I feel like people have to wait to see what actually happens before they automatically just start saying, oh, he left the scene, he automatically needs to go to jail, because that's not how it works.
Well, I'll let Baked In Boys reply to you on that one.
You're correct. No, you're correct. There has to be a warrant for your arrest, or if the police are there, at the time and they witness something, they can arrest you. But I mean, if there's no, that's why I'm saying when there was no injuries, that's probably why they didn't even bother to get a warrant. They'd have gone and arrested him that night if there were injuries, guarantee you. But you're not going to go to jail unless there's a warrant for your arrest.
Yeah, but what are the odds that you create a 6-car pileup on a freeway and you don't have a warrant for your arrest for leaving the scene?
That's just absolutely, like I said, think about what happened with Henry Ruggs.
Like that is. Like
how
especially
did that happen with Ruggs and Rashee Rice has him and another guy
especially
with a faster
like
car.
you hit
No
a
one
mailbox. You hit a mailbox, okay? Like you drive by and you hit a bunch of trash cans, go through a fence and take off. Maybe you don't have a warrant for your arrest. Who knows? Especially even if there's footage. But I can tell you right now, if I backed into a shopping cart and I damaged the shopping cart and Target has footage of me doing that, they're probably knocking on my door. You hit a shopping cart and ran, son. You can't do that. But yet this man can go out and cause a 6-car pileup, walk off the freeway with his pals, not concerned about anybody, and nothing's going to happen to him. Absolutely nothing. This is a fantasy football show. Okay, I do break down the news at 8 p.m. This is an 8 p.m. news show. It always is, always will be. We don't draft during this time. We do news. We talk about everything NFL related. But we do cover fantasy, and I can tell you right now, I don't think there's much of a draft impact to this. I think people will probably react a little bit to it, but I'm personally staying away from this guy anywhere near the top 30 overall. There's just too many other players I'd rather take that aren't going to be maybe dealing with the mental piece of this that I think could weigh on them. It depends on how fast it all goes away, but there's going to be civil stuff related to it. I don't know. All I know is he walked in the NFL with a little bit of a sketchy off the field, check sheet. And this makes me question whether he's got the ability to stay on track as his career accelerates. A lot of times wide receivers especially, they're always wide receivers that get in trouble, that are going 100 miles per hour on the freeway. It's these wide receiver divas that need the football in their hands. They cry. They're divas. They always want the football. They always want the attention. It's crazy. It's a mentality. It's what attracts, a certain mentality to the position. But this is the kind of player that I could see the success unraveling their career. It's madness. Let me go over to Cap from Florida real quick, and then I'll go back to Baked In Boys. Go ahead, Cap.
Yes, thank you, Smitty. Thank you, everyone, for having me on the program. And yeah, man, nowadays, man, I always thought it was just common sense, man. If you do something wrong in the expressway, if you hit anything in general, especially a pedestrian or a car with somebody in the car, you just stop, dude. I mean, what the hell is going on with morality and common sense, regardless if you're a football player or not, dude? Like, what gives you the sense of entitlement just walking away from something that could have been worse when a regular Joe like you or me are going behind bars?
Well,
I get what's going on, but come on, dude. Like, a 6-car pileup and you act like it was all good?
Well, he's lucky because if there, like I said, this is a definition of injury. This is like the determination of this going one way or another is all decided by the injury factor. If someone had died or someone was in critical condition, he would be in serious trouble. So, a big-time spotlight would be on him. But because no one got hurt, he's going to walk. He's going to walk with misdemeanors.
Yeah, but you know how it is, man. Like just, come on, man. Like, all of a sudden now, like, it's just like, hey, yeah, go ahead. It's just, I know I hit you, but don't worry about it. We'll deal with it later. Like, it's just becoming too normal, man. It's just, I mean, I don't know, man. I live in Florida, and I see these things happen all the time. So, yeah, buddy's right about these white stuff and probation deals. Like, everybody gets away with it nowadays, but, man, like, is that the new norm nowadays? Like,
apparently,
I hit my car and everything's great before my love?
Apparently, I don't want to offend you. You want to walk off the freeway? Okay. That's crazy, man.
I mean, there's a chance that something's going to pop up later this week and someone has been in the hospital and there are some injuries. But if that doesn't happen, I mean, I know this is going to sound bad, but lawyers get people off of crazy situations like this every day, everywhere. It's not just because he's a football player.
I get it, but just
And when
I
you
get it, man, but
when you
if I
retain a
would've
lawyer,
hit
like
you,
the
you hit
number
me.
one thing you want him to do is keep you out of jail. He's not going to jail for this. That's why I also don't think
No, we know
I
that.
have not made up my mind on the buy on the dip thing, but there's a chance that he's just a crazy, shithead who you don't probably want.
So if
on
you
your
had him
fantasy
and you
team.
had
But
Mingo,
I don't think that
if you
this
had
is
him
going
or
to
Mingo,
be.
Hey, hold on,
Drag
wait, guys,
it
one
back.
at a time. It sounds like a circus in here. Well, let's let Brandon continue, and then I'll go over to Cap for a rebuttal.
I'm just saying, there's a chance that somebody ends up with actual injuries, and then there's a much higher chance of some jail time or some significant legal troubles. But I don't think he's going to have that much of legal troubles. I was a little shocked when I was reading the post from Smitty and Adam Schefter, and it said police are searching for Rashee Rice. But they didn't say that, there was something, because the accident looked real bad, but they didn't report any injuries, and they didn't say, hey, police have a warrant out for the arrest of Rashee Rice. I was saying, why not? And now I get it, because probably no one was hurt. Some cars are probably smashed up, and he's going to have to pay for some repairs on their cars, but, he's probably not, he's going to be out some money, and it looks bad, but I don't think it's going to be a big distraction, to be honest with you. Unless, like I said, down the line this week, maybe it comes out that there are some injuries, and he's going to be in much bigger trouble. But
It
right
does,
now, he's
it
really
does,
not in that big of trouble.
It does indicate to me, though, that he's not like very good sound decision maker.
Yeah, he's probably not a very mature guy.
Yeah, I just think that there's these are the signs, though. Hold on 1 second, real quick. These are the signs of. Sometimes we don't take into account, though. We try and ignore them, like the Kadarius Toney, as ironic as it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Those signs were there too.
The
Hold on. The talent was there. The talent was there for Kadarius Toney, but the signs were there that he was not going to be able to handle it. And I'm not saying that 100% certainty Rashee Rice is going to just like unravel. He's the same person as Kadarius Toney, but there's clearly like a player here that I'm not feeling dynasty comfortable with, that I feel like is going to endure everything he needs to endure at the NFL level. He clearly does not know how to handle the position he's in and the responsibility, but we'll see, man. I'd much rather have Hollywood Brown at cost over Rashee Rice at top of 3 round value. Would I take him at 4.1? Maybe, but I went over that earlier. You got Mahomes, you got players like Derrick Henry in redraft. You got Devonta Smith. You got players around that territory. I'd much rather have over Rashee Rice. But I don't know. Dynasty
What about
wise,
Jerry Jeudy or Mingo?
No. Mingo.
Smitty, what exactly is the dip on Rice?
He was overvalued anyway. There's no way he was going to produce that type of. Come on, he was never producing that much for him to be going at that range anyway. In redraft,
he's climbed into the second round on underdog at times during this offseason, and he's going in the top of 300%.
Got to be out of your mind.
That's the 80. That's the 80 ADP, broski.
He's a wide receiver too.
That's the ADP. No, people are projecting, people were projecting like wide receiver 1 elite numbers out of him, and I'm just saying that I'm backing off that entirely. But he was absolutely going in that top 25 to top like 30, for sure 30, but top 25. He's kind of jumped around all over the place.
Yeah, I don't have.
What's your thoughts about the conduct policy rule?
Let me no offense, but this group is definitely not cohesive. let me call on people because everybody. Let me go over to the Isaac real quick, and then I'm going to roll over to Rob, and then I'll go to James, and then I'll go to Cap, and then I'll go to Baked In Boys. Go ahead, the Isaac. Go ahead. You're live.
Yo. I just think this is a nothing burger. And I read the accounts of the so-called victim, who was sideswiped, obviously upset because there was a kid in the car or kids in the car. And she was upset that nobody stopped and they kind of just, simply fled the scene. And I think that he probably called his attorney, He told them what to do. It doesn't matter if there were guns. It doesn't matter whatever they took from the car. But I don't disagree that, what you said earlier, that he could get a little sidetracked from this. Who knows what Rashee Rice is going through? Definitely high on Hollywood right now, but I don't think this is going to be anything. I don't think it's going to be anything whatsoever when it comes to a legal
How many shares?
aspect.
How many shares?
How many shares?
How many shares you got, Isaac?
Hollywood?
No. Of Rashee Rice. How many leagues do you own him in?
Oh, I have 0.
Yeah. Out of 1 in front of that. I don't know. Look.
No, I'm serious. I have 0 shares. I'm going to say this: Mahomes can turn any wide receiver, who is committed to football, into a star. I have 0 shares of Rashee Rice. I just think that this is an everyday occurrence.
You want me to tell you?
And
it's not an everyday occurrence. Let me tell you what I think is probably going to happen. A lot of people say nothing burger. They're laughing at the nothing burger comment you made because it's not a nothing burger. And I think to Isaac's defense, he's not saying it's a nothing burger to him. I think he's saying the result is going to be a nothing burger. I think what's going to be, people are going to be dumbfounded by the lack of accountability at the end of the day on this, dumbfounded by the lack of response by the NFL, dumbfounded by the reaction of others around those reactions, and I'm going to be the most vocal about that. I'm going to be dumbfounded that everybody's just okay with it. It's going to be frustrating to me, and this isn't even a player with a ton of money comparatively to the other players. Like, he can just pay off everything. This is a young player on his first contract. And I don't know, maybe there's some other stuff going on where the Chiefs get to make sure this thing goes away. I don't know, because the Chiefs are probably pretty comfortable around chaos and making chaos go away. How is Jackson Mahomes sitting in the box during the Super Bowl right next to Taylor Swift, and everybody's just letting that go? Like, KC's the most dysfunctional family I've ever seen, and it's crazy that this is the NFL's first family. This is the NFL's first family. It's the most dysfunctional. And they got to clean it up constantly. Like, Patrick Mahomes is a pretty decent guy. My assessment is he's a very decent moral man. He's surrounded by a bunch of madness. And it's going to make everybody extremely, that at least has a conscience, at least that feels like protective over humanity. It's going to make all those people like me upset. Because what we think should happen, what we think's going to happen, is not going to happen. Because the NFL is going to sit on their hands. The legal process is going to crap the bed. And he's going to absolutely get away with everything here. And just walk away from and plead down to some sort of, I don't know, conspiracy to shit your pants in public type of misdemeanor. Is my guess, but
Smitty, can I add? I have to add.
Yes, go ahead, Baked and Boys. This is
my nothing burger comment.
Or is this Isaac? Is this Isaac?
On exactly. Yeah, this is Isaac.
Okay, sorry, Isaac, go ahead.
You can laugh at the nothing burger, everybody, but you're laughing at the NFL. I'm just basically over here as a fan of the NFL and understanding how they function. Nothing will happen. His attorney has put a statement out there for him. He will not speak about this. The only evidence is that they've been sideswiped. What is the victims of the crash going to do besides say, oh, pay us for being uncomfortable and shaken up at the end of the day? This nothing burger comment is just simply based on the NFL.
I clarified for you already. I clarified that for you already.
No, I know. I know. I'm just
okay. Hold on. Let me go over to Brandon again, attorney on the phone here. Brandon, do I have that correct, Brandon? It's probably gonna be completely the most meaningless charge or whatever.
Well, I don't know how meaningless, but if you're comparing it to Alvin Kamara, which was last year's version of this, then yeah. But what I'll say, so
yeah,
the
but that was
video
before
that
the
you
new
posted.
was out.
What's that?
I don't know who was talking from a
That
fax
was
machine.
What I'm saying, the video that you posted.
We can't. Whoever's talking from the fax machine, we can barely hear you. Try and say it one more time. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Brandon.
Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
What I'm saying, the video that was posted is definitely going to be admissible. So, you know, I seriously doubt that this thing is going to drag out and drag out and drag out with the threat of an actual trial. He's probably just going to be looking to something. If, also, like I said, if there's no injuries, he's going to plead to something.
Like what? What would be
along
the plea?
the lines of reckless driving.
Reckless
What's
driving.
that?
Reckless driving.
It's going to be something like that, and he's going to be in criminal damage to property or whatever the Texas analog of that is, and he's going to have to pay restitution to all of the different victims, but all he's really paying is their car damages.
But at most, it's a criminal
I don't.
misdemeanor.
He is on a rookie deal, but he can. I guess he can afford that. So it's
Criminal
not
misdemeanor.
I don't think it's going to.
Hey,
Yeah,
isn't
he's
there a
gonna
new
be-
PCP rule that's been implemented last season? The new personal conduct policy rule that for situations and fires and all that stuff? Doesn't that kick in?
Well, we don't know what the NFL is how they're gonna apply anything. Like the general rule of thumb has been let the legal process play out. Even though they can go back and look at things and make determinations, the NFL has always been able to do that. They can essentially say, hey, we're going to put you on paid leave, but we will let the process play out until we actually like put you on the commissioner exempt list non-paid. And so essentially, can everybody mute real quick? It sounds like someone's got like they're at a motorboat school or something. I feel like at the end of the day, the NFL's not going to step up and do something. They're going to let the legal process play out. The legal process will play out to the tune of, Brandon, am I correct in saying it's at most going to be a criminal misdemeanor at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, probably.
And so to the letter of the
this
law.
is why I was bringing up the video's admissibility. His lawyer probably already got paid a retainer, and basically he's going to be not looking. This isn't something that's probably likely to go to a whole trial.
Right.
He's just going to look to try to negotiate what's the lowest plea I can really, get out of the district attorney.
Right.
And he's just negotiate. So this is probably going to be over by the summer.
So to your knowledge, in Texas, it might be different, but like fleeing the scene of an accident is not all by itself going to be something that you get a criminal, not misdemeanor, but a criminal charge for. You can literally get in an accident, cause a pileup, and start taking off and running away from the scene. What's to stop every drunk person in the history of mankind moving forward to get in an automobile accident, and once they're in an accident, just jump over the wall of the freeway, take off down the street, go home, sober up, and go, yeah, well, I was in that accident, yes, but I'm fine. Take my blood alcohol levels. Like, can you answer that question for me from a legal perspective? Because I think that's where the average human being is sitting in here questioning the laws in the world right now.
Yeah, you're right. And it's crazy in a world where everybody's got phones and cameras, and there's even cameras in public places a lot of the time, like recording all this stuff. But, I mean, if there's not really... I don't know this for sure, but I doubt Texas has what you would call like a hit and run law. That just the hit and run by itself is itself a crime that you're going to go to jail for. And even if that is, like I'm saying, what that would do would trigger grounds for a warrant for your arrest, and the police would go arrest you.
But isn't it crazy to think that every drunk driver going forward has a better shot of exiting their now they're going to be tipsy running around, and they're probably going to get caught every time, but they literally should flee the scene to go get sobered up and then admit to it later, and they're fine. Because the thing about it, I don't buy, Brandon, and I'm not saying you don't know what you're talking about, clearly you do. The thing I don't buy is if I did this tomorrow, there's no way it's playing out the same way. And you could blame that on privilege of being an NFL athlete and all that. I get that. But explain to me how you cannot be in trouble for running away from causing not just an accident or backing into somebody or something. You literally caused a disaster on the freeway. They shut the freeway down, 6-car pileup. Somebody did get taken to the hospital, and there's no repercussions for that. You're telling me he's going to get a reckless driving plea, but nothing about bailing on the scene? I don't understand that at all. It doesn't even compute with me. I don't get it.
I can't give you an answer that's going to make you feel better. Like I said, there's always a chance that there's, some latent injuries that weren't obvious or available to us right away or whatever, and he could end up possibly going to jail. And I think if something like that pops in, he's probably going to voluntarily go to jail and bail himself out that day, and probably not even be in jail 24 hours. And then we're gonna be having a different conversation if that happens. But what information you've reported and others have reported, it seems like there's not, which is just so unbelievably lucky when you look at what they were doing.
It's amazing to me. All right, let me go back around the phone line. Sebastian, you're live real quick, then I'll go back over to Cap, then I'll go over to Rob. Sebastian, you're live.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you wanted Rashee Rice shares, I already have plenty, but honestly, now would be the time if you believe him to be the one. But, I do regret buying as many shares as I did, just because, the whole Kadarius Toney thing and how he panned out, and I'm like, I could see him potentially spiraling out of, not to that extent, but just not living up to the talent profile we had for him in the situation. Because, look at the Chiefs receiver room. Marquise Brown's been in trouble before. I don't know if Tony's still on the team, but you saw what happened to him. Like, a lot of these guys just haven't lived up, besides really Tyreek and Travis Kelce. So that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said earlier. I don't know if you were here when I said it, but that he's had off-the-field questions like coming into the NFL, and the fact that he's not mature enough and not a good decision maker, and he surrounded himself clearly by like-minded people, because you have 2 cars full of people getting in an accident, leaving well over $500,000 in vehicles just sitting on the road and just running away all together, like-minded people. He's clearly surrounded by the wrong entourage. He's clearly not a mature man, and he's came into the league with some question marks. So my thinking is, yes, similar, as I said earlier in the show and what you just said, not Kadarius Toney, but this has me saying, is he going to be focused? Is he where he needs to be? Is everybody overvaluing him? Is there going to be a certain slump level to his play anyway? I'm going in a completely different direction than Rashee Rice, even if it's 4.1. in fantasy football redraft, because guess who's there? Mahomes is there. Guess who's there? Derrick Henry's still there. Not that that's the safest move either, but it is what it is. Guess who's there? Whole bunch of other players that seem a lot. ETN's still there at 4.1. Like, I'm going to go near that type of risk versus a Rashee Rice risk, who I believe used to hold about top 25 overall value on Underdog Fantasy for quite some time this offseason. He was going in the bottom of round 2. And everyone in here saying he's not going to round 2. Yes, he was. We did drafts with it over and over and over.
Yeah, but I bought about, I have him on about 15 teams right now.
I'm not interested. Okay. And it's not just me being bitter about it.
Going in all those drafts.
I don't know, but Brown has got to be in. I don't even know where. I'll look at his ADP right now. Brown is a steal.
I was going about 60 before the news, like 60, 65.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to get a little
Brown
uptick.
Was going way after Rice.
Way after Rice, bro. Way after Rice.
Wow.
Oh,
Brown is just definitely a better receiver.
Way after Rice. I think Rice is a more talented wide receiver, but I think that doesn't matter. You know who is a very talented wide receiver that no one will admit to? Kadarius Toney, because he's garbage now. He can't even catch the ball anymore, but he physically had some gifts that no other receiver in the National Football League had, and he squandered them. And no one's going to admit that he had the talent or skill set, Guy can't catch anything. He's in his own head. I think Rashee Rice is a bigger risk at 4.1 than he is upside, personally. And there's going to be a lot of people that fight against this because they love value. They love going against the grain. They love protecting players that are in trouble for some reason, innocent till proven guilty, even though the facts are right in front of your face. Some people will absolutely gravitate toward this situation and love it. But those are the same people that always love it. You can tell from a mile away, this is the type of guy that's going to be all over it. All right, Cap. Oh, Cap just left. James from the warehouse. Go ahead, James. Then I'm going to go over to Rob. Then I'm going to go back to Bake Them Boy. Holy crap. What is going on at the warehouse there, pal?
Hold on. Let me step into a quieter room.
No, you're fine where you are. What can we do for you?
I was just going to say, to kind of answer your question with what's preventing everybody from just leaving the scene. I mean, for one, a lot of people do. Like in my situation, like I hit somebody in the crosswalk and I continued on my merry way to Jack in the Box.
Yeah, let's stop tearing down your character here. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I'm not proud of it, but I'm just saying, like, so a lot of people do. I just feel like most people don't end up as lucky, and they still, because it goes by case, you know. Certain people can get a better deal, certain people can afford a better lawyer, certain people can't, and then screwed and end up having to go to jail. Also, a lot of people are more, I guess, moral, and people sometimes it's a different reaction between different people and how you react to a certain situation.
Okay.
You know? So
basically, what you tell me is everybody's different. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, everybody's gonna react to a certain way. Rashee Rice is a very young dude, 23. I mean, 23 is a very young age.
It is, bro. But you're also old enough to be graduated from college. You're not given any sort of hand holding. You're well past the age of 18. Like, you turn 18, you're borderline still a kid. You're turning into a man. You can make a mistake at 18, maybe 19. You're 24, 25 years old. You legitimately you're 1/3 through your life. 1/3 through your life. There's no excuses anymore. I don't care if you're 25 or 35. I don't care if you're 23 or 37. You have all the responsibilities of a grown man. And this kid is showing to me that he's made horrible decisions, and I don't know that I trust him moving forward. And I can honestly say, doing this as long as I've done this, okay, that it's a good behavior and a good practice to start judging these players for their actions and their history. And so if he comes into the NFL with a checkered past, or at least some question marks on a lot of people's draft check sheets, okay? He was very much a guy that people questioned off the field, and he does this, then the history is doomed to repeat itself, because it just did. And so I'm gonna be out. Maybe I'm watching other people relish in his success, and I don't mean that people can't bounce back from it, but he needs to prove that before I'll ever invest again. So I don't mean that to sound negative toward your situation, James. You clearly bounced back. You're in the warehouse doing warehouse things. You got it all under control. But I'm not going to invest in Rashee Rice until he proves it. And by then it's going to be too late, because he'll be out of the NFL and he'll, oh, good job. I guess I was wrong. But guess what? I'm not going to feel bad, because I'm still going to invest in a player that I believe in more, that's around his ADP, and I'll be fine. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm just gonna walk away from this one. I don't need any Rashee Rice shares. I don't trust him.
All right, just one last thing I got to say before I head out. I think ultimately we got to wait to see where all the news, because maybe he left because he had to go to the bathroom. You know, who knows?
Finish him.
Okay, but yeah.
Call terminated.
Yeah.
All right, that was the last straw. I'm sorry, James, but come on, bro. James, you're making excuses for him. You're making excuses for him. Baked in boys. Brandon, what else you got?
Just to your point, kind of to the point James is making, it sounds really bad, but there's lawyers out there getting people out of situations like this every day, everywhere. People do hit and runs and get away with it all the time. It's not, like I said, if there's no injuries, his lawyer's going to negotiate some type of a slap on the wrist plea, and it's going to probably be done. This will be done before, really the off-season work even really begins. And he'll probably just, and then it's like you said, I bet you're right. There's an 80% or better chance the NFL will do nothing because this is they'll probably view this as really minor.
Well, so you got two things that are going to happen, just so people are very, very aware of what this is going to look like later. The NFL goes to the letter of the law in terms of this stuff, regardless of policies in place. They have certain things that they can go to if they need to in crazy circumstances, but they let the legal process play out. Okay, and if the legal process tells them, hey, he committed a misdemeanor, they will react to the misdemeanor. Now, they can also judge on what's becoming of the league and representative of the league, and they certainly did that with Kamara a little bit, rather than go off of his just his charge. But for the most part, they don't deviate very much from what the legal definition is or what the legal finding is. So if the legal finding says that there's no problem, like in Deshaun Watson's case, where there was no criminal, actually nothing criminal was brought forth because the DA didn't think they could prosecute, then the NFL didn't step in and go, well, we disagree. We're going to go ahead and slap this down. They went, okay, that was the determination. It is what it is. So if the determination is that it's a criminal misdemeanor, they might come in and say 2 to 4 game suspension, shouldn't have done it. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. But that's it. If there's no actual huge criminal charge of some kind, then he's walking essentially into a 1 to 3 game suspension. At most. At most,
probably 1 to 3 at the most.
Yep. Rob, did you have anything else you wanted to add before I boot you off the line here?
I doubt he even gets that, man. The only way I see something actually happening is if somebody got video of it. Because one of the guys he with, they gonna take the fall from. 100%. If you got a group of friends, you the one, you got everything to lose. One of them guys gonna take the fall, and then they just gonna bail that guy out of jail. They're gonna say that he wasn't driving. The only way it fall back on him is somebody else got a different video that haven't been released yet, and a witness come forward. But if that witness do come forward, it would be nothing for him to go and pay them off. So I really doubt anything happened. Yeah, I don't think anything is gonna happen. But it do, you going out there putting people's lives at risk. That's not cool at all.
Well, I
Especially
think
the lady that had the baby. If I got a kid, shit, I'm hurt. I need all of everything you about to pay me. So that's just that. I think it's funny that it's a 6-car pileup and you telling me only one person was injured. Everybody should have been. Oh, we hurt, man. Our neck, something. Because even if you don't go to the doctor now, who knows? Who's to say something down the line won't happen? You might just start getting the back pain or shoulder pain. Who knows?
We'll see what happens. All right. Hey, Rob, appreciate you, bro.
Yeah.
Later. All right. Hey, Brandon, any final thoughts on this topic before I let you go? Appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you for having me on. So it's true. I mean, you could get in a car accident and you don't start to feel the symptoms until a week or 2 or maybe even a month down the line. We may be having a very different conversation. May have to come on here and totally change these conclusions a month from now when one of these is a plaintiff saying, hey, I felt okay that day, but now I've got neck pain. Who knows? And then, or get a doctor. I visit 3-4 doctors, and one of them says, "Oh, all of a sudden, I've noticed you've got, X, Y, and Z injury that these other doctors."
But will that really change? At that point, will it really go back and change anything? Because the criminal stuff will already be probably, maybe not.
I mean, I bet, yeah.
I don't think.
It kind of really depends on the actual.
Maybe civilly, but maybe civilly it changes.
I bet you, probably not. That they're going to probably pursue that civilly. and he'll just pay, and that'll be that.
Right.
You know,
So I don't
probably
think
won't
anything
be-
really changes.
you know?
I think the only thing that
But
makes
I would
me
say, even in that case, this video is admissible. So that's going to definitely affect
why is it admissible?
how-
Why is it admissible?
There'd be no reason why it wouldn't be. It was taken by eyewitnesses that I don't see any kind of possible way that they could exclude it, unless, like I say, more facts come out. But you know, an eyewitness on the scene took it, and it just was obviously him from what I saw from what you posted.
Yeah.
So. You know, he can't dispute it and say he's not going to be able to dispute it and say, "Oh, I wasn't driving."
I just
Oh,
feel
that
like
wasn't my car.
I feel like the bigger
Or,
concern here, to be honest with you, I'm not even like worried about Rice. I'm not even worried about fantasy value. I'm worried about the fact that, like, what are our laws nowadays if you can literally flee like this? I mean, and get off of any sort of potential risk of if he was under the influence of some kind. I'm not saying he was or wasn't. I'm just saying if he was, this behavior he displayed of leaving and fleeing after you cause a 6-car pileup and running away. That's what somebody has done that's absolutely like committed some sort of crazy situation in that vehicle. They crash it and they abandon it because the vehicle's meaningless to them. It's not even their vehicle. Like that's the behavior of somebody that has done something like crazy, is to actually just run away from the vehicle on the freeway and take off. It's either that or you're hiding something you're trying to get rid of, or you're trying to get something out of your system that's in your system and you can't be talked to right now. There's really only 3 reasons why you would get in a 6-car pileup, and it's not just one person like acting strange or panicking, whatever. There's literally 2 cars full of people in an entourage that bolted together. And to me, it's very sickening that there's no ramifications to that. And there's no laws in place that make that that make there a ramification for that. That's insane to me. And it's a loophole to get out of some. It's a loophole to get out of like a charge if you can just run away and go fix your situation and then come back and go, yeah, that was me. You know, remember that all the monetary issues I created, everything that I created. Like, yeah, he can afford those. You're right. Most people wouldn't be able to. But
yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, so I would say that the only check or balance we have against that is that if there's grounds for it, the police could get a warrant. The police could easily get a warrant for your arrest with the video you showed. But there would have to be pretty, like, that's what I'm saying. If someone would have been injured, there'd be a warrant. And he wouldn't be able to just flee and just flat out get away with it. But I mean, you're right. One thing that people never seem to understand, let's say if you're drunk and you're getting a DUI, you don't have to comply and blow and prove that you're guilty. You can refuse to do that, and you can ask for an attorney. And, you know, people usually don't always pursue those rights. In this case, I mean, if he were under arrest, it'd be different, but he wasn't. There was no warrant. He wasn't under arrest. He got a lawyer, and he's kind of just doing what anyone, like, even if you weren't a football player, this is what someone would do if they did. I'm not saying most people would not just. I definitely would not just crash somebody and flee the scene, but people get away with stuff like that all the time, and they get a lawyer early on in the process, and
For anybody to defend the behavior of leaving a Lamborghini and a Corvette totaled in the middle of the freeway and running away, both cars, all the people involved, for people to defend that is asinine to me. It's weird that people
you know
are
who really is. Roger Goodell is doing that if he does nothing. The world has seen this.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell's probably going to do nothing. He's the one who's defending it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe they shock us and do something. All right, Baked and Boys, Brandon. Appreciate you calling in, bro.
Thank you for having me.
All right, later.
Thank you.
You heard it there from Brandon, practicing or a non-practicing former attorney. Well, he's still an attorney, just isn't practicing right now. He's taking on some fitness aspirations. Chris, appreciate you dropping the $20 holler, my man.
Alert. Super chat alert.
That's my boy, Chris, coming in strong. Chris says the following. He says, how you doing, Smitty? I'm in a keeper league. I got to keep 2, but it takes a draft round pick for where the player was drafted in 2023, and my options are Amon-Ra for a first rounder, Bijan for a first rounder, Allen for a third, Kelsey for a second, Achane for a 13th. I'd go Achane with a 13th because Achane is a second rounder, and everybody else is going where you would draft them, essentially. So there's no real value in the other retention pieces here. But if you think about it, would you rather have Achane in the 13th, or would you rather have Achane and probably a Josh Allen, who you're going to be able to draft back in the second round, let's say, or not, or just have one player like Josh Allen, or have Bijan and no first rounder, or have Achane and now you get a first rounder. So Achane and a first rounder is way better than just Bijan. Like, it's clear as day Achane's the choice. Do it live. Chris, appreciate your super chat. Monster $20 hauler drop right there. To the moon, pal.
To the moon.
To the moon. If anybody else wants to call in on this real quickly, the phone lines are open. Be very happy to talk to any of you. We've had a packed house all day on and off of YouTube, IG, Twitter. As of right now, we still need about 30%, 40% of you to hit that thumb up button on YouTube if you could do so and be so kind. If the NFL allows them to play, I'll play in my fantasy league and DFS if they're worth it, says Jeff. I'm not sure what you mean. Just for the record, I don't condone these actions of these players, but it's not my worry to see what happens to them. So, Jeff, I think you had said why. I think it was Jeff. So why am I down on drafting Rice but not drafting Kamara last year? Because Kamara, I too, it's a business to me, right? This is a business. What I do is I assess talent for fantasy football purposes as well as news, break down the news. I am part prediction analyst, part NFL newsbreaker, part NFL talking head, part whatever you want to call it. And when I'm giving fantasy advice, my objective is to give the best value advice I can. And Kamara was going in like the 7th, 8th, 9th round. That's practically free. If Rashee Rice dropped to like round 7 or 8, I would be telling you to draft him in a millisecond. Adjust and adapt is what we do, what we live by. But what I broke down earlier is that Rice, even on a discount, let's say 4.1, isn't safe enough for me. I'd rather have a whole plethora of players that I listed off. Again, if I look at around 36 overall, Jalen Hurts, ETN, Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, Lamar Jackson, Rashad White, Mahomes, McBride, Pacheco. I mean, it's a laundry list of players that are going easily around 34, 35, 36, 37, all the way to 40. So that's why I'm viewing it the way I view it. I also will make a decision that's why we had Alvin Kamara on the planet Uranus.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
So, Rice could be on planet Uranus. In fact, he should be on planet Uranus. Let's put him on there now.
And off he goes to the planet known as Uranus.
Actually, I'll have to find a photo for him. We'll put him on here. We'll definitely put him on here. But anyway, crazy. I don't know what's crazier, that all this stuff is just going to most likely, and again, the gentleman we just had on is those are his opinions. Those are his opinions. These are my opinions. None of us are speaking from any sort of legal perspective at all. We're just giving you our take, our objective opinion. This entire show is just basically an opinion. But it's my opinion that not much will happen in terms of discipline. And I don't know what's crazier, that or the defensive people out there that like want to defend what he just did. Crazy to me. Crazy to me. Dial into the show. Phone number is on the top right of the screen. Your boy will be here for just a few more minutes. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have and talking about this man right here. God, it's crazy. If it goes to prison, somebody is going to... Oh, I'm not going to read that one, Andrew. Andrew, he's not going to prison, bro. He's barely going to get a misdemeanor. I'd be shocked if he was doing any community service at all. Rice is ready to break out where Kamara. Well, he might be ready to break out. He might be ready to. Kamara was one of the best picks of last year, so I don't know how, Jeff, you're even coming in here like acting like the Kamara pick didn't smash, because it did. Like, the Kamara pick won leagues, so I don't know what you're talking about. It was one of the best picks because he was a 7th, 8th, 9th rounder. It was completely free, and he smashed. Not even close. That was a much better pick than Rice and 4.1. Doesn't matter if his career is on the downturn. This was last year, Jeff. You keep referencing Kamara's downturn. This was last year. He was a 6th, 7th, 8th rounder, sometimes 9th rounder. We took him, we smashed with it, and it was one of the best picks, even though he was on planet Uranus. And it was despicable. We had to plug our nose when we drafted him because he made us sick that he beat a man like he did and get away with it. Your boy's still a little under the weather. Little under the weather. Kamara and his friends, yeah. People only care about themselves. It's sad, but it's the way it is, says Terry Roberts. Terry in the building. Moderator. A moderator in chief in the building right now. Better pick than Hopkins. Hopkins isn't a great 4.1. It's not close. Hopkins' ADP is really far down there, bro. He's like 76 overall. Rashee Rice right now, his ADP is at 27. So he's a couple picks past the 2-3 turn. So he's about 3.3 right now. 3.2, 3.3. That's where Rashee Rice is. Where will he fall? And is that adjusted from the last 24 hours? Maybe. I think he was probably around the 2-3 turn. He's probably around 24 overall. Now he's fallen behind Olave and Debo. But I venture to say he was above them before this news broke. So Hopkins is going in the 70s. Rashee Rice is currently going in the 20s still at 27 overall. I think that falls to about 36. And I still don't think I would take him at 36. At all. I'd just rather have a whole plethora of players over him. Now, if he falls to like 50, I don't think he will. But if he did, then we'd have a different conversation. For sure. Kamara was lower than Hopkins last year and a better pick. They both had value. But Kamara was fantastic, bro. Considering where we got him, my man, he was fantastic value. It simply shows your ethics, moral compass, and how you treat others. His character is shot. He's shown he's lost respect for himself. Says Perps, talking about, I believe, Rice. And I couldn't agree more. What's the world coming to? Am I getting so old? I'll get off my lawn about everything now. I feel like I am, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being the guy yelling and screaming about getting off my lawn. I don't think there's a place for any of this. I think you need to show respect for humankind. All right, dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
We're going to do an ADP show very soon. Also, Michael Penix Jr., there's this report that just broke a little while ago that he had dinner with the Giants after his pro day and later had a private workout with the Vikings. I really love the idea of Michael Penix Jr. in Minnesota. And it wouldn't shock me if we were right all along, all the haters on Michael Penix Jr. Wouldn't shock me one single bit. I don't want this, but the Cardinals end up trading this pick or something, and Penix Jr. goes as high as like 4, 5, or 6. Wouldn't shock me if the Cardinals took MHJ, hopefully. And then the Chargers trade for the 11 and 23, and the Minnesota Vikings come in and draft Michael Penix Jr. at 5. And it feels to me like a team will trade up and give the farm for a QB that everybody's going to say they could have got if they had not traded at all. Meaning, a lot of people are going to say, I had the Vikings traded 11 and 23 for Penix Jr. and they could have just taken him at 11. I have a feeling that one of the quarterbacks will be traded up for in that fashion, and everybody will say that. They could have just drafted him at that draft slot. But I don't know that anybody can say that with certainty because Penix Jr. has been climbing a lot of boards, and to get your guy, you got to do what you got to do. You're also playing with the house's money with 23 overall because the Vikings got that pick in a trade that I feel like was good value. And now if it was me, I would secure that number 5 overall from a team very likely to trade it in the Chargers because they're not married to the idea of getting Neighbors or a Dunze as much as a Neighbors believer wants to assume and will to happen. Harbaugh's not all that interested in drafting a wide receiver at 5. Believe it or not. Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the show. Smitty, did you see the video of the victim of the Rice crash? I've seen pretty much everything at this point. There's still some stuff I might put on IG. But speak your mind. She's furious that everyone just got out of the car and fled without checking to see if people were okay. Yeah, there was definitely a child involved. There's a lot of panic. Rice is lucky no one got injured or worse, or he be in some. It's crazy that determines right or wrong, though. I'm not saying that it shouldn't make him accountable if someone got injured or killed. Of course, I'm glad at least that would have done something. But it's kind of scary that needed to take place for right and wrong to happen. Like, does somebody have to get injured or killed for the right thing to happen to occur? I don't understand how there's like a gateway for that to go one way or the other. If someone gets killed or hurt, then boom, yeah, what he did was wrong. If no one got killed or hurt, then boom, open the gateway, he's fine. Gets off. I don't know. Harbaugh does want McCarthy. Whether he pulls off a Herbert to Minnesota trade or not is something that I've been talking about for months. I think if Minnesota gave the 11 and 23 to Harbaugh for Herbert and he drafted McCarthy here, and then they could draft like a Dunze there, that would be a pretty big win for the Chargers given their build and concept of the offense that they want. But knowing Harbaugh, he wouldn't even draft a Dunze at 11. He'd draft McCarthy at 5 and then take an offensive lineman. I think I think Harbaugh is taking, I think he's taking offensive line here. I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting. And I don't feel like he's trying to throw a smoke screen up. I think that's where his mind's at. And it's not that it's wrong necessarily, but it's not what everybody wants, that's for sure. Let me see if there's any other news on X right now regarding any of this stuff. Yeah, I don't see anything. Will ESPN or another major sports news outlet ask serious questions? I don't think so. I think that's why we're here. But that's fine. That's fine. That's why we do it. I try and be a real, reactive, talking head news show. I don't pretend to not have my opinions. Of course, my opinions are littered throughout the entire show. I make that abundantly clear, though. But we do break down. We do break down the news, I believe, better than anybody. For people who are defending Rice, if that was your wife and kid, would your opinion change? Says D-Town. LAC taking Alt. I think they definitely are taking Joe Alt at this moment. Peanut Butter and Waivers thinks Joe Alt's going number 5 as well. Joe Salters thinks they're going O-line as well. Probably Joe Alt, right? Harbaugh doesn't think like you or I do. And Neighbors owners are going to be crying everywhere. They're going to be literally good. They're going to be going, oh my God. And then Neighbors is going to go, I mean, the Giants should be taking a quarterback. What will be crazy is if MHA goes 4. What will be insane is if the Cardinals trade out of 4. Minnesota gets this pick somehow. The 11 and 23 go to the Cardinals, and they take a quarterback. They take Joe Alt, and the Giants take a quarterback. Can you imagine if Marvin Harrison Jr., Odunze, and Neighbors are still on the board at 7? There's a world where that happens. But if MHJ goes 4, Joe Alt goes 5, the Giants take quarterback at 6, and then what happens? Neighbors goes 7? Falcons aren't going to allow Neighbors to fall, I don't think. The Chicago Bears won't let him fall. It could be crazy. Giants could take Neighbors at 6 and go, you know what, we'll address quarterback later. Neighbors is just too good to pass on. I don't think Neighbors owners want him in New York. Not for year 1 anyway. All right, I'll be back later. I appreciate you all being here. Please hit the thumb up button on the way out the door. I work for you. Thumb up, thumb up, thumb up. Do it live. Unless there's some breaking news on this that's different, like, very, very different. Our next show will not be a Rashee Rice. I know people might get tired of hearing the same kind of stuff, but this is, we had an attorney on. We wanted to talk about it, discuss it. Next show will probably be about a sleeper breakout, something positive, and maybe that's tonight. See you all in just a little bit. Thank you to my super chatters. Thank you, Chris, for dropping the $20 wad. Definitely keep Achane in that late round pick, man, my man. Thank you so much for dropping the super chat. Chris, you still there? Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Live when big news breaks.
Brees Hall is 8 foot tall. He will always answer the mother freaking call. Don't let him fall. In the third, don't stall. Just give Batman the freaking football.
He's Brees. He's Brees.
He does a whole of a job. A whole of a job. A whole of a job.
Brees Hall, please report to the moon.
He does a hell of a job.